What's going on, everybody? So today I want to talk about treasure goblins and my loot from them. Now, I posted a video on orange elites and a bunch of loot from them, and a lot of people, well, a few people I guess, were a little bit confused on what exactly I was trying to mention in the video. If you watched to the end, I basically went over the stats and the drop rate of legendaries based on how many I received over the course of 500 kills. Today, I want to talk about treasure goblins, and I have cataloged 500 different times of me killing them over the past months. So you'll see clips of me as a wizard, see clips of me as a necro, and then of course I continued onwards to try to get every single clip there and chart them in a chart, just determine what the drop rate of legendary items are from these things. And I also want to talk about a few locations that you may want to be able to find these treasure goblins so you guys could get a bunch more legendaries. Let's get into it. All right, you'll see behind me that I will be running around killing a bunch of treasure goblins in a few different locations. The most prominent location is definitely the ship here, and I'll go over and showcase that on the map at the end of the video to go ahead and showcase about 3 or 4 locations that you may want to go ahead and farm these things. Now, the reason why I decided to go ahead and do these tests was because early on in the game, for those of you that not played enough of this game, or at least weren't here for the first few months, treasure goblins used to not drop legendary items. So I see a lot of people complaining about, oh, the legendary drops are, pretty bad or mediocre. And while the legendary drops are, not high at all by any means, this whole system used to not exist. It used to just not exist. And that's insane to me because these things actually drop quite a few legendaries. They're comparable to orange elites, which we'll see in my chart in just a bit. But not only that, but there's also a lot of places with high concentrations of them. So you can double up essentially on, I'm farming my orange elites, I'm farming my XP and my standard legendaries from all the monsters. And on top of that, I'm also going to go ahead and pick up quite a few of these treasure goblins. Now, this is super, super cool because you get quite a few legendaries from all of them combined, and it actually substantially increases your legendary drop rate. For those of you that didn't play early on, the amount of legendaries you could acquire per hour, the amount of legendaries you could acquire per zone was drastically lower compared to what it is now. And when I say drastically, I guess that might be a little bit of an exaggeration for some people, but to me, a 20%, 15-20% increase, for example, is a big deal in the grand scheme of things, because remember, this is the majority of content that we're going to be doing throughout the game, basically for the entire lifespan of Diablo Immortal, right? This is a loot-based game. So when you increase the drop rate by 10, 15, 20%, that is a massive increase in your whole gameplay experience because of how often we're doing this. So super, super important that we include that. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and just go over some of the stats here that I have. I'm going to go ahead and try to put this up on screen for you guys. Now, I said I farmed over 500 treasure goblins. You're not going to be able to see that many in this video behind me because it would literally have taken me, I think the total recording was like 2 hours to go through. But I don't have enough time for that, or you guys don't want to see all that. However, I have a chart here that I will go ahead and go over. Now, as I said, 500 killed. The total amount of legendaries that I received from these treasure goblins was 85. 85 legendaries over the course of 500 treasure goblins. Now, if you were to go ahead and just do that on a percentage basis, that means that we're getting a 17% chance when you kill a treasure goblin to drop a legendary item. That's pretty significant. Again, you can get about these like 2, 3, 4, depending on the area, you can go anywhere from like 2 to 5 to 6 an hour of these things, which basically means an additional legendary item per hour, which could sometimes be a massive increase depending on where you're farming, especially in the locations that I will go over in just a moment. 17% drop rate is also comparable to the orange elites. Now, for those of you that didn't watch or have not watched the orange elites actually had a massively increased version of the legendary drops. It got about 180 per 500, which totals to about 34%. Now, keep in mind, I do have 90% magic find, you can see, because of my wings in the background. So if you were to just exclude that portion of it, you can expect about 11 to 12% drop rate from these treasure goblins, which is still a nice little bonus. And that means 1 out of every 10 that you kill, you're going to get a legendary item. That means if you're going ahead and killing 3 to 4 legendary goblins or treasure goblins here, in your time span of going through and killing off these treasure goblins, well, you can expect about 1 legendary per 2 hours. And that means that if you're farming 4 to 5 legendaries per hour, that's about a 10% increase, a little bit higher than that. So that's super, super nice. With all that being said, let's jump over to some of the spots that I want to talk about and then wrap up this video. Jumping back into the game, I ended up having to clear out the bigger recording because I separated into a couple recordings, and I was running out of space because I just had so many recordings of treasure goblins on my computer. But regardless, we have a couple spots that I want to go. First off is going to be the ship farm. This spot right here is going to be a classic one, guys. There's a few advantages to it. Of course, it's the lazier farming, but there's actually quite a few orange elites as well as treasure goblins that spawn here, which really, really increase the amount of loot that you're acquiring from this spot. The second location here is going to be actually in the library, which is something that a lot of people don't go to anymore since the nerfs of the hidden alcove over here. But it's going to be in this room, which really doesn't have a name. One each corner, one person each corner. It's a group farm, and you'll find that you're going to find a lot of quest monsters, orange elites, and treasure goblins in this location. The third location is actually going to be another location that a lot of people don't go to, and that's going to be the Ashwold Cemetery in the Queen Asilla's tomb. This one could be a little bit more active. It could be a little bit more lazy, but you're definitely going to want to group for it. You're going to find a lot of monsters in this northern part of her tomb, to the west of her tomb, in this corridor over here, and to the south of the tomb. If you guys all go ahead and run in a circle, this isn't bad. Or if you guys just pick up a location, one here, one here, one here, and then one over here in this type of location, you're going to get a lot of loot. Then lastly, as the fourth and kind of fifth locations, they're kind of in the same area to me, and I always mention these every time because they're just the best farming locations. There's a reason they're the best, guys, and that's because it has access to high orange elite counts, high treasure goblin counts, and high monster density. That's going to be the Plains of Torment here, and the longer version of the Realm of Damnation farm across the Citadel of the Damned to the Hall of Punishment. This massive long farm here. You're going to find quite a few orange elites, lots of monster spawns, and actually quite a few treasure goblins as you're going through. So those are going to be the 4, I guess 5 locations that you're going to find a lot of density of these monsters. Again, finding a solo farm, finding a group farm, you can't really pick any location on the map. I know some people kind of make fun of that, but you really can't. There's some set paths that you'll want to follow, the monster density and the group centric location. If you go to a location with a group, the monster may not spawn as quick as you need it. If you go to a location as a solo player, you may not find a solo farm that's good enough for you to farm it. And of course, you want to factor in the orange elites and the treasure goblins in those locations because that will increase your legendary drops per hour. And of course, if you have the time or if you have the stats, increasing your magic find is going to be the best way to increase your drops. And I know free-to-plays basically can only acquire about 25% reasonably. After that starts to get very, very difficult. So those are the stats for you all, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know it was a lot of time for me to go ahead and chart all these treasure goblins. Usually I don't have like the mental capability as well as the actual capability on my computer because I'm doing all these other things to record every treasure goblins. So since I started this video, I've farmed probably over a couple thousand to a few thousand of treasure goblins, but I wasn't able to record them all, so I didn't get them down. So definitely a little bit of an interesting video. Only 500 killed doesn't give you a complete sense of the drop rate. Keep that in mind. It is a lower sample size, but I figured it could make a fun video, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know I did, and if you did, be sure to like the video, sub to the channel, and I'll see you all tomorrow.